Hello, everybody. It's a chat with Al. It's been a while. We did our little test stream on Twitch with me and Uncle Ron, but tonight we have one of our most favorite people in the community, Kurt Berglund from Pine Tar. I was gonna say from Pine Tar Baseball. And he's going to be talking some Pine Tar baseball here and much, much more. So feel free to ask questions. And we're very happy and lucky to have Kurt from an undisclosed bunker location somewhere. I'm not even going to give you the location.
Yes.
Not even to give you the location. So, and we have, before we start, we have W. Vogs. Hope all is well. Sports Time Machine. He just did a really fun game. Check that out using Payoff Pitch. 1977 Yankees and the Angels. And we have Philip Reynolds, another fun channel in our community. So, Kurt, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
I just want to say right off the bat, I've been enjoying Pine Tar Baseball. It's one of the 2 dice games I've been playing for baseball. It's Strat and that, and I mix in a few other things offline. But really enjoying the game. And you know when you got me? I'm a squirrel. Can you see the dice? They're different colors. I'm like, I want that game.
Yes. And it does add to the randomness, which is nice. It's not just for show. It's good stuff.
But about the green die adds for the randomness.
Yes.
See? And I forgot who it was. They were watching the game and they said, why aren't you? I didn't even know what the heck the green die was for. I'm like, it's a pretty die. I like it. I don't know what it's for. So, and we also have itinerant hobbyist, Pine Tar. I grew up a George Brett Royals fan. And Ken Castro, awesome sauce. He says hello to you, Kurt.
Hey, Ken.
All right. So without any further ado, Kurt Berglund, Pine Tar Baseball.
Well, today is an exciting day. We have the launch of a 16-team Great Teams set for Pine Tar Baseball. And the set I originally kind of dreamed up as a project to propose to James Formo, who created the game. Back in December, I went to James and I said, well, what if we did a survey and asked folks to vote on the teams that they would want. And I decided to narrow it down. And James was all for it. And I decided to narrow it down to a 25-year span of what I think might be the
across a few decades, 25
Right.
years, just 3 decades, basic. I mean, it's 3 decades, basically.
Yeah, and so I didn't know what kind of response there would be, but we ran the poll from Tuesday to Friday in the second week of January, and ended up getting 61 responses, which I didn't really anticipate. I didn't know what I'd get, but I didn't anticipate that. And the teams that folks, and so there were just a couple of rules. One was that you could only vote for one franchise team entry.
No multiple teams, which I like. From the same franchise. Yep.
Right. And you got 5 votes, and they weren't going to be weighted. I wasn't going to do math, take off my socks and shoes, any of that stuff. So did the votes, and I was surprised by the votes, actually. And then it ended up where every team that was in the set was the winner for that franchise. So we took the top 5 teams; those were automatically in.
Yep.
But then all of the other teams that were done, and we started out with the idea of 15, and then somebody proposed that we do 16 to make tournaments possible.
Yep. Which was a good. I'm glad you went with that, because that way you can have a tournament. 16 teams.
We did that, and then there were only 2 franchises that I didn't take the winning season from that franchise, and that was the 76 Yankees and the 87 Twins. The 78 Yankees actually won the Yankee vote, and the 65 Twins actually won the Twins vote. But I needed another team from the 80s, and plus I love the 87 Twins. And the 76 Yankees, I think, are really an ignored, really, really good team. They're Reggie-less, but the pitching is better than the next 2 years. And it's hard to find a game that makes the 76 Yankees easy for folks to get. And so I decided that they should be in there. But all the rest were the season winners. So the top 5 were the 75 Reds were in first, the 68 Tigers were in second.
Yep.
The 70 Orioles were in third, and those 3 were pretty much from the start, from the get-go. And then the last 2 jockeyed a little bit, but it ended up number 4 was the 86 Mets, and number 5 on the very last day ended up being the 85 Cardinals. And then
that was a surprise to me, the 85 Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals fans would go with a Bob Gibson year. Yeah, that's just me. Too. But that might have made it to them maybe a little too top heavy in the 60s because it's a span. You know, I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm happy they didn't take 78. That just brings back all kinds of bad memories for me. And I have the 78 team in a different card game.
Yes.
I'm going to be doing some stuff with that, but I'm happy you have the 67 Red Sox. It's a really fun team. The impossible dream team. They just gelled at the right time. They had a hard-nosed manager. They played hard-nosed. And hello, Nurse Teresa's home. And I always wondered, had Lomborg not got hurt in the offseason, would they have been a little different? But yeah, but the teams, can I read the teams off?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I have it over here to my right. So if you see me looking away, I'm looking at the screen. And the teams are, for the 16 teams, St. Louis from 1985, Chicago Cubs of 1984, the Oakland A's 1974. You don't see that team a lot in these sets. They go a lot with the 73 A's for some reason. In the 72, you don't see 74 a lot. So here's an interesting one. The Dodgers of 65. I would have liked to have seen, because I'm a Sandy Koufax fan, the 66 dot. I mean, he had a good 65, but 66. But they win in 65, so that's not, again, they're all good teams. Baltimore 1970, very pitching. Is that the year they had? There's Nurse Teresa. Hello, Nurse Teresa.
Hello.
Everyone shut your eyes.
Hello.
Mwah. Okay. We got the lovey-dovey stuff out. Now get out. No, I'm kidding. No. So was the 70 Baltimore team the 420 game winners? Was 71 that lost to Pittsburgh? That was a 4.
I thought that was the team that was going to get in easily, and they ended.
But they didn't vote. They voted for the. I'm glad, the 75 Reds, which I'm happy about because everyone likes this. Well, I've played this we've all played these Sims games. Whether you play against them on a PC or when you're playing card and dice, you're playing both teams. I enjoy the 75 Reds more than the 76 Reds. And to be honest, the 70 Reds would bench hit like 40 homers. That's another fun team. The pitching's not that good. They had a 20-game winner in 70, and he really wasn't that. They must have scored a ton of runs for that guy. That's all I can say about that.
I agree.
Let me go back to it as I digress as usual because I'm a squirrel. The 64 Phillies. This is a team you'll never see in a set. This is the team that lost in late September. Was it last week of September?
Yeah.
Gene Mock, the manager,
had a 6.5 game lead with 12 to play, and they lost. And it's just there's been some really good book. There's a really good book called The Year of the Blue Snow that was published by Saber, and there's an article in there that tries to explain what sort of happened during the last 3 weeks or so. and does place some blame on Gene Mauch, but doesn't really run him through like so many articles that I've read do. And there's also this interesting idea by Dick Allen, who is part of the book too. They interview all the players so that we're living. And Dick Allen said they were just over their heads all summer and it finally caught up to them. So I don't know. People can find out by playing this.
Good book though, right? What was the title again?
The Year of the Blue Snow.
The Year of the Blue Snow. Because all the, I'm not even going to say crazy moves, but all the strategy that worked throughout most of the year at the end didn't work. And I think you had talked about that. I don't know if we had talked on the phone or I think it was on the phone. And you were telling me about that book where he had those few pitchers that were good, and he just kept running them out there, and it just didn't work no more.
Yeah. He had a couple of starters go down with injuries. I mean, it's easy to look back. I don't know. I think it's easy to take shots at Gene Mauch, but there's a lot.
They were not the best team.
Right.
I mean, wasn't that a 3-4 team race in 64?
Right. I mean, it was legitimately 4. The Dodgers got off to a horrible start, and so everyone thought they were going to win, but they ended up not really being a factor. And the Cardinals, of course, got Lou Brock, and they ended up winning. But I don't even think the Cardinals were the best team. I think that the Reds were better. And the problem that they had, of course, is that their manager was horribly, horribly sick and would eventually die, Fred Hutchinson. And so they had kind of turmoil going on. The 64 Giants had a race problem going on in their clubhouse. So
that was with their manager, correct?
Well, Alvin Dark was the manager, and I guess from what I've read, he wasn't really getting a handle on what needed to be done. He was just kind of hoping it would all go away, and those things really don't. And so
you have to address that. You can't lose the clubhouse. You can't have dissension in the clubhouse, even if you have to move a popular. I don't know. I'm just, even if you have to do something that's not popular, you cannot have dissension in the clubhouse. Right. But so that's a really fun team. And then you have 71 Pittsburgh. They won the World Series with Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, Johnny Milner, Richie Hebner,
Clemente. I mean,
Clemente,
unbelievable. You could make a pretty good case that might be the deepest team in the set, just top to bottom.
And they had good pitching. They had a young Bruce Keeson, but they had the guy was from Connecticut. He won 2 World Series games, I think. Blouse. Yeah. So that was another fun team. They're all fun teams, and then 75 Reds, which I always think's a fun team, along with, like I said, the 70 Reds. Not in this set, but I'm just saying playing the benches. The 76 Reds are not fun to me. They don't hit as much, in my opinion. And their pitching isn't that much better than the 75 Reds. That's just my opinion. 67 Red Sox, I'm happy. 80 Royals, you're going to have a Brett's phenomenal year. Detroit, here's one. 68 Detroit, but I thought maybe 84 would have gotten it. How did that with 68 and 84? Was there any competition there?
No. In fact, 84 didn't get any votes until Thursday. So the poll was going for 48 hours before anyone bothered to put down 84, and 84 ended up being tied with 72.
72, that's the team that lost to the A's in the pennant. The strike shortened year by some teams missed an extra game. The Red Sox lost the American League East by a half game because they played one less game. I'm pretty sure. I think I got this right. And the owners had decided to screw the players, going, we're not making up any games because we ain't paying you. It was their punishment. And then as the year was coming to an end, the Red Sox were trying to get that one game made up because they started doing the math, going, hey, we could lose this by a half game. And a lot of funny things happened on the way to the Forum to the Red. Luis Aparicio falls down twice. I read The Curse of the Band. I'm enthralled by that season that they should have won the division or had a good chance. I shouldn't say should have because Detroit was a very good team. But yeah, so wow, Detroit tied with 84.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? And
I wouldn't think many people. I know we have an older crowd normally in this genre of game playing, and in our community, we do have youngsters too. But 72, I mean, it was a good team. You know, that's I think that's the playoff where Bert Campaneris threw the bat at the pitcher.
Yeah, Laren LeGros got the bat thrown at him.
Yeah, that was a playoff game when that happened.
And they really didn't do anything.
No, they didn't. He threw the bat. Who cares?
Yeah. So
Billy Martin. I think Billy Martin went spastic.
Yes.
He was the Detroit man. Was he the Detroit manager or third? I think he was the manager in 72.
Yeah. There's a really good book about that team too, called I think it was Billy Martin and the Half Game Champs, and or Detroit Tigers and the Half Game Champs.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. I would like, yeah.
It's and there's a picture on the cover of Billy Martin actually losing his mind after the Campaneris bat throwing incident.
They should have thrown him out of he threw the bat at the pitcher.
Right. And
I mean,
really,
if you've not seen it, people, go on YouTube. He wings the bat at the pitcher. I mean,
it was a pretty good toss.
It was. It's amazing the pitcher got out of the way.
There's a lot of baseball fights where it's like, you push me, I'll push you, and we'll wait for
no, that
people
was
to pick it up. But this one, he meant business, and so.
But that surprises me that you tell me that. Okay, so back to this real quick, and well, 68 again. Tigers phenomenal, right?
Right.
Minnesota 87. You explained. Chicago White Sox 83, a very good team. I've been playing that. I'll be finishing up the second Final Four game and then the championship in another project with another cards game set. And then the 76 Yankees. Again, you explained that. I would have thought, but you did I would have thought 78 did get the votes, right?
They did, right.
But you wanted to go at 76, as you explained.
Yeah, it started because one of the things I thought was going to happen was that people would vote for the 64 Yankees, but just a handful of people did. And then 77 ended up being in front, but then 78 caught him late in the week. And I still thought, and I still think that 76 is kind of.
Were you not surprised that 61 to get any? I'm sure 61 wasn't there, or was that one of the teams you didn't want to do?
Well, the 25 years went from 64 to 89.
64. That's right. I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah.
No, and so, and the reason I did that was because James had already carded 60, and I thought 61 would be really popular, and they're they're not identical in performance.
Yeah.
The 60 team, you could argue, is a little bit better because their pitching is deeper, but, and I thought my intent was to eventually go back and say, okay, then we're going to do 48 to 63 and do a.
Right, you're doing this. I believe this will do well. This type of sets. This is stuff I like. And I think most people. Again, we were talking offline. It's fun to get a season, but I don't play the bad teams. I don't. There's a reason they're bad. They're not fun to play. I mean, if they have a dominant pitcher, I'll do that. Because I like pitching matchups. But Randy Luxembourg, just to get back to the 72 playoff game with Campaneris, he said he was suspended 15 games on the onset of the 73 season, but he was not thrown out in that game.
And not only that, but that game wasn't the end of the playoffs.
No.
So I wonder, I guess, what would happen today, but I mean, he'd be gone for the playoffs at least.
Absolutely. I think he'd be gone for the rest of even if they had advanced, he would have been gone.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I thought was so odd that they just
different time then, Kurt.
I guess.
So I'm buyer beware. I've put in my order for this set. I'm going to look forward to it. We will be doing a tournament once I get it, and I got to decide if I want to do one and done or a double elimination kind of thing. But
right, and then you forgot one team.
Oh,
and that's the 79 Expos. They were the
I did. I'm sorry. Yep. 79 after the 65. Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. 79 Expos, which is kind of funny that we had talked about this, before another. And I'm not saying that they already probably had it in the mix too. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
we did talk about this before another card company came out with it.
That's right, because I very, 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 very nearly went with the 65 San Francisco Giants instead of the 79 Expos, but I thought that the Expos needed some love, and so put him in there. And when I did the cards for the team, I was really impressed with how good they really were, and so what the set with that addition becomes is 8 American League and 8 National League teams. So if you wanted to go two halves of a tournament with 8 teams,
or
each,
even if you wanted to go National League, American League, and come up with your own amount of games to play in a season. Exactly. And if you want to do 162 games, God bless you. That's not what I do. But you could do I've done, I guess they're projects offline where I've taken X amount of teams from sets like this, and I'll say, okay, home and away series, or just one game home, one game away. And you just go through and you play, and you get a feel for all the cards.
Right.
But now that's the most recent set. That's out today.
Right.
And it's an excellent price point. It's $23.99, and you can check it out. I put the link in the chat above and also on the page, Pine Tar Baseball. And if you can easily just type in Pine Tar Baseball game, and you click on it, and you go to their homepage and go from there. My first purchase from Pine Tar, and I was on the fence for a long time because I'm not a big player of seasons. I watched Tabletop Baseball, Earl from Oklahoma. He did the 1973 Red Sox replay using Pine Tar, and it came out fairly accurate. And there were bumps in the road because he was getting used to the game. And I think he gave you guys some feedback with some things. And I think he had some homebrew rules to adapt it the way he wanted to. But it was good. But when I watched you come out with, and there's another set coming out next week, the best of the, like an all-star version of each team throughout history. That's not the way to describe it, but can you tell us about that one?
All-stars. Yeah, this is a set that James and I started working on in July, I think. We came up with the idea from a couple of different places. One was from a book that was out. Now I'm going to forget the title, but
you've talked about this book too. I know what you're talking. I don't remember the title, but yeah. Where they go through like the best players.
Right, and it's war heavy, and I know people talk about war, but basically what the guy does is he takes each franchise, kind of goes through a thought process for each position as well as, and makes a team. He's making an entire 25-man roster, and also talks about the guys who almost make it but don't. And so James and I decided that if we were going to do a franchise all-star set, that there should be more than 25 people per team, so that folks have to make some cuts if they're going to get down to 25. And so
now, how many players per team?
So there's 31.
Yeah, 16. So you could have a 31-man roster if you wanted, but you could also cut it down to 25. It's your game. You can do it as you wish.
That's absolutely right. And I think that I don't know, James did almost all of them. I did about 6, I think, teams. And I was also working on the manager set kind of at the same time. And I learned a lot about the franchises that I worked on. And the challenge was not to pick the players that you think are the 25 best in the history of the franchise, because that doesn't necessarily make the best team. So what we were trying to do was to give folks the best, some choices to make with combinations. And I'll give you an example. One was when I was working on the St. Louis Cardinals What I had was a lot of players, not all of them, but a lot of players who were one position players. And so what I really needed was a really talented multi-position
Utility.
type of
Yeah.
player. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Jose Oquendo, who ordinarily you wouldn't say, well, if you're thinking of the St. Louis Cardinals,
He
you
did play a
wouldn't
lot
say,
of positions though.
right. And he
Fairly
on base all the
okay.
time.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and certainly had a lot of uses the way that
Yep.
Whitey Herzog used him. And so on each team, not only will you find the tremendous stars, but you're also going to find some players who you need to be able to put together that kind of a roster and make it work.
And as Kurt just said, there are tremendous stars on that. I was lucky enough that they sent me to take a look at the rosters and stuff. I appreciate that. And and the other cool thing, we'll use Reggie Jackson. He's on one team, Oakland, one team. He's not on the Yankees. He's not, and so if you're only playing, there's no doppelgangers. I don't believe, right? There's no doppelgangers.
No, and there's some players that was a really hard call. I mean, Alex Rodriguez, who is not, my favorite player of all time, but legitimately could have fit on, 3 different franchises as a really important part of any 3 of those teams.
I think you guys chose the right one though. Seattle.
Yeah, I think
But you're right. He could have been Texas.
Yep.
Could have even the Yankee. He played a lot, he played a decent amount with the Yankees too. Now I think that's going to be a really fun set. That's something where if you could come up and you had the patience to play a decent season there with one team and just go, you can have a lot of fun. And the really unique thing about Pine Tar baseball, and I kind of said it when I was playing my game 2 of the 24. Oh, sure, it's going to go in focus now, but when I play the damn game, it doesn't. The home and away pitcher grades.
Right.
And as soon as I was playing game 2, and the pitcher for the New York Giants was Jack Bentley, who actually in real life pinch hit in game 1 and then pitched game 2. But his away grades were so bad. I'm like, if you're really going to have to get the rolls on this. And he got hammered. And I was telling Kurt offline, and if you watch my stream, or if you go back and watch why I don't know you would, but I mean, we have fun in our streams. It's a fun thing to do live. I'm at the last 3 innings, like, please, someone make it out. And the Senators just kept hitting the ball. So, but yeah. Now, how did you guys come up with that concept of the home and away grade? Because it's really a factor if you're playing this great teams league, or like I have from Pine Tar. I bought the World Series set teams. So I have the 24 World Series teams, the Giants and the Senators, the 46 Cardinals and Red Sox, the 60s Yankees, 1960, excuse me, Yankees and Pirates, the 2016 Cubs and Indians, and I also picked up really fun the 79 World Series teams, and they're beautiful. These ones were already like decks of cards. Now this set that I purchased now will come on sheets, and I'll have to. You can keep them on the sheets if you want, I guess, but I like to cut them. So
that's what I do too. I know James is a big believer in leaving them on the sheets.
How does he? He just flips and he looks real quick.
Well, right. If you look at the season sets that he's done, he looked up the most commonly used
lineup
batting order.
Oh, that's
as a starting point.
That's you know what? That's not bad.
No, but it would still drive me crazy. So I cut him. I just can't.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, so if you get these sets, they're already cut and they're very nice and they're very durable. And I also have the Legend set, which that's the game I bought with the cards, and then I added the other stuff, and that is fun. I like that you only have 15 players, and I'm like, I've just played single games so far online because I'm coming up. I think the way I'm going to play that is, and I use a DH because with all those good hitters, you want to get an extra bat in the lineup.
That's right.
But the way I'm going to play it offline is if someone DHs one game, they can't, they have to be out the next game. That means you use everybody in a way, and they're all great players. And the other thing too is you could actually make there's the 2 Negro League teams that you could either keep separate or you could integrate them and supplement. So if you wanted larger rosters, and you have Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens that you can add anywhere. So, which was kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I took the teams and put together my 25-man rosters of my favorite all-stars into this series with them too. So you can do that too.
Yeah, you don't have to keep them with the team they're on.
The second Legends, James has finished a second Legends set, and that's
really?
going to be coming out in a few months. As soon as we kind of stagger things a little bit here, but and I'm working right now. One of the things I'm working on right now is a Japanese Hall of Famers and other great Japanese players and dividing them into a Legends set as well. And so that's going to be coming out too. So Legends are not a dead concept by any stretch of the imagination.
I think you can really have a lot of fun with those type of sets because it's a total what if. No one can say, oh, that guy didn't do this or that's not the right lineup, which if you're playing any type of game, it's what you want to do. But when you take this, it's fun to think what Jimmy Fox would be in a lineup, say with Frank Robinson and so on and so forth. Yeah. It's just fun. And the other thing is, what you get in those games, they're close. Could you get a blowout? Yes. Yeah, you could. I played enough of them. You're not getting a blowout. I had one where the closest thing to a blowout, I think it was like 4-1 because it was like 1-0 and then the other team scored 4 runs late. But so you're going to have a lot of fun, close, exciting games with these types of sets. Not always because, well, with the Legends, their pitching grades are pretty good. And I kind of like that because I'm like, nothing better than you roll and you're like, home run? No. That's an A+ pitcher. You're out.
That's right. And I think too, the thing that I found with the Legends set is that it really forces you, it really makes you realize who you respect the most because
the guys who actually can hit in those games.
Yeah. And like, for example, I remember that Frank Robinson came up and it was a big clutch situation in the game. And I had a left-handed hitter ready to go, and I don't forget who it was, but I was thinking, my God, am I going to hit for Frank Robinson?
I know.
I couldn't bring myself to do it.
You can't do it. You can't do it.
Yeah. So
and the other thing is with these sets, like we can look at Joe Judge for a second from the 24 Washington Senators, and I hope, again, hopefully it'll focus in. It kind of did before. It's not going to do it this time. I hate my camera. But anyhow, you have your lefty-righty splits, and you just look. You go to where it goes hit by pitch. That's the last chance he can get on base before an error. So against lefties, he's 35%. That's the way I look at it because it's 35. And then against righties, he's 40. So 40%. And it's a fun way to, even if you weren't quite sure, you just look at that, and it's the dice roll. The other thing I do like on these cards, especially with the batters, you do have the batting average, the on-base percentage, and the slugging. I like that. Now, how come with the pitchers, may I ask, because I wanted to ask this before, you don't put the win totals on that? You know what I mean? Was that something you guys thought of, like, for that year to say they had, the wins and losses and ERA?
Well, this came from, Pine Tar came from a much more involved game called True to Life Baseball that James created, and True to Life Baseball has an 80+ page rule book.
That's a lot,
and it's a lot. And
I wouldn't be buying that.
No, it's kind of like, I guess, Pursue the Pennant, I guess you could say, in a way, in terms of complexity and detail. And the feedback I know that James got,
I'm sure it's a good
was
game. Just saying 80 the rules would
exactly. And
kill me with
so
that.
he got folks saying to him, on the cards, less is more. And
Okay.
so you don't want clutter. And that's something that I'm kind of
And-
battling with these
And before
Japanese
anyone
players.
thinks you can't tell, to tell if someone's a good pitcher, A, you can look it up, and B, you go off the pitching grades, whether they're better at home or away. A
Right.
plus, really good. B good. C, okay. It's like grades in school. So by no means can you not tell. I'm just saying, me, I like to know what they wins in ERA. That's just
Right.
me.
And that's what's one of the things I'm trying to build
You can
in
put
for
it
the
right
Japanese
there.
players.
But a game's a lot of fun. So I was just curious why you guys and other card things. Some do it, some don't. But I'm just
And you do need. I mean, you gotta, I guess, strike that balance. But it's a very fine line, because gamers, I think, especially for baseball games, gamers take their cards so personally. I mean,
yes.
they have a lot of opinions about what they like and what they don't like on that card.
And by no means do I not like your cards. I just like to know the wins, losses, ERA. I love the
Right.
cards. And again, batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage. That's good enough for me. You slug, I know you hit for extra bases. Even if I didn't know the play, you know what I'm saying? Like if you give me talk about the 78 Yankees, the 78 Red Sox, or teams I'm very familiar with, I know what they did. But I'm being honest. I'm not. I know the Senators won the World Series. I know they were good in 24, and I know they have Walter Johnson, who I love just pitching, because I'm a big guy with pitching.
Right.
But it's a fun game, and I think the sets that you guys have provided, and you do have seasons, so they can check them out. There are seasons, but I like the way you guys are going with this, because you're gonna have all fun teams to play. They're all gonna be fun teams. They're all gonna be competitive teams.
Right.
And
right. And interesting combinations, that's kind of what I've been looking for in the other two projects that I'm working on too, is like, where are some combinations of teams that maybe people don't have a lot of opportunity to play or don't think to play, maybe, and give them a chance to, in the same environment, let them play head to head. And I think that's fun too. It's much more entertaining for me, and I think it's something different for the gamer out there too.
I agree. What is the Twins what is your team that you root for? Because I want to ask a question, but I have to know your favorite team first.
My favorite team is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Okay. That being said, yes.
That being said, my my three favorite teams of all time are not Brewer teams. So I'm very odd that way. But if there's a game, a simulation, and I see the 73 Mets, that's my number one.
That's a fun team, the 73 Mets. That's a fun team. The thing with that team is, one, Bud Harrelson kicked Pete Rose's ass at second in the pennant. Go back and look. Pete, you picked. I love Pete Rose. You picked on the wrong guy, Pete. Bud was like, "Yeah, I ain't taking your crap." And that team won that division. One game over 500, two games over 500.
They were 82 and 79.
So 3 games over 500. I would have got there eventually.
You would have. And I was 7 and completely fell in love with baseball, and that was it. The second team is the 75 Red Sox. Love them. Still can't believe they didn't win. Fisk was absolutely right when he said that they won the World Series 3-4.
Yeah,
and
brought baseball back. That was a huge thing to bring fans back to baseball. It was so exciting. Still one of the, if you can watch I think every game is up on YouTube. You can, and they're still fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bernie Carbo's homer is my favorite moment in baseball. And my third favorite team is the 79 Cubs because I watched almost every game that season. So my favorite team is the Brewers, but in terms of single years, those other three are my favorites.
So when you're looking to do, because I don't see a Brewer team in here, I'm positive of that.
Right. That's right.
Do you purposely stay away from the Brewers because it's your team?
No, in fact, it was very, very interesting. On the Friday, out of nowhere, the Seattle Pilots got 5 votes in this poll,
There's
and
1969. Oh God, they're a bad team too.
yeah, and I don't know. I would have probably had to change the name of the set, I guess, from great teams to something else. But the Cardinals were the 5th place team in the vote, and they had 7 votes. And so the Pilots, I mean, very, very possibly could have snuck their way in. So
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm glad they didn't, because that just would have. They're not going to be. You can't. That's a tough team to win with. That's
yes.
There
would be a lot of G's. Yeah.
In any type of card and dice game, a bad team's really tough to win with. In a PC game, they're still tough to win with, but you can figure out, I'm going to hit and run a lot. And by just doing that, I'm going to create something every once in a while. Card and dice, that really doesn't work because they're just if you have on a bad team guys who can hit for contact, and you play on a PC game, most PC games that are true closed door engines, I'll say that type of PC game. Okay.
Right.
Where you're sitting there going, this guy hits 270, but his contact, we'll say 1 through 10 rating, is an 8. I have a guy who throws strikes. I have a guy on first base. Let's do something. Let's put him in motion. It's not like you're cheating. It's just sound strategy. Right. On a card and dice, that's not happening a lot unless you have a good hit and run guy, like a really, really good hit and run guy. So.
Right. No, I think you're right. It's, in fact, one of the next things that I want to do before September is to finish a group of teams that are sort of in the middle. And one of those is the 76 Tigers. And
Mark the Bird Fidrich.
That's right.
Oh, the Bird.
Yes. But if you look at their offense, that's kind of what they were. I mean, yeah, okay, Staub could hit some home runs, but LaFleur was a runner. And you can do things with their lineup. They were just barely under 500, but
yeah, they were.
Their lineup that could make them a very interesting team to play.
If they caught some breaks, if you go back and look at their stats, not that I'm a stat guru for the 76 Tigers, but I look at that season every once in a while. I fool around. I play it with PC. I don't have it with any card and dice, so. Or I don't have the Tigers any card and dice either, like in any type of set. But if you look at it on a PC, whether it's action PC, out of the ballpark, strat PC, anything where I do have it, you sit there and you look at it and you go, you can win with, not that you're going to win 100 games, but you can be very competitive in any of those games with that team.
That's right.
Because you can do a lot of fun stuff. So.
Yeah. And it's fun to do teams that are maybe a notch below the great teams. And because I used to be a teacher, and one of the things I want people to do is to learn something about the teams that they're playing, and that maybe they didn't know before, didn't realize was a strength, or maybe was a weakness that they were able to cover up. And that's something that can come out in these games as well. And I think when people do a tournament with these 16 great teams, there's going to be it's going to be really interesting to me to see who kind of rises to the top and which teams.
It'd be interesting if you put up on your, either you do a little video or even and you can link it up to the homepage for people who do get this set. Ask them if they could play a 16-team tournament and what were your results. And then it would be an interesting thing to compare. That if there's some place that they could input whether it's on your YouTube channel or on the homepage somewhere. I don't know how easy that is on a home. I'm not a guru of websites, but I'm
Right.
just saying, like, say when I do a tournament, no matter how long it takes, because I have multiple gazillion projects, you could go back and see, and I don't keep all this. I mean, I could go back because it's all on YouTube or the stuff. Well, actually, Twitch goes away, but I think that'd be fun to say, hey, with this set, if you purchase it and you're playing a tournament, we'd like to know how it came out. What
That's a great
surprised you? That would be fun. You get a lot of feedback, and you could, maybe we could do a show, or you could do you and James could do a show
Yeah.
just talking about the feedback, and possibly, if that would be interesting, because there's a lot of, it's a funny thing. Just to give you 1978, I've played a few different types of tournaments, right? And the Dodgers win. The Dodgers win. Okay. Uncle Ron, Retro Sports Network, did 1978, and I'm pretty sure the Dodgers won. I'm trying to remember back. Our good friend, Higher Ground Gaming, Eric, he did the whole 78 Red Sox season. Then he did out the playoffs when the Red Sox, again, fell short in his replay, and the Dodgers won. So it's kind of interesting to see. That 78 Dodgers team is really good. Obviously, they went to the World Series. But I'm just saying, it's fun to see a bunch of different game engines, and this is the team that wins.
Right. I agree.
I think if people were willing to say, hey, here's something, share your information with us. It's just my thought process. Take these 16 teams and play a knockout tournament, one in sweet or whatever, like a Sweet 16 or however. How did you play these 16 teams in a tournament? How did it come out? And they could share the information, and maybe like you pick someone out of a hat and they get something. I don't know. Like if they participate.
Yeah. I think
because
that's
I
a
would
really
love
cool
to see
idea.
I always love to see how people's projects, whether it's a tournament or a season, come out. But I think that'd be cool, because I'm looking forward when I get this. I ordered it today, so I would assume sometime tomorrow I will have it, right, Kurt? Right, tomorrow.
Absolutely. That's right. FedEx,
It's going to be interesting to see, because you've talked about what team, the 67 Red Sox, and their pitching splits for home and away. Because in this game, you have to be very aware, and it's not hard. It's very easy of the home and away. Like this is Tom Zachary, and he pitched game. I think he was the game 2 starter. At home, he's B all the way through. Because with this game, after the first 2 times through the lineup, the third time you go to your second grade, but he's a B all the way through. And on the road, he's an A+ and an A. So he's a very good pitcher. Not all the teams have guys like this, so you have to weigh that. And that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. It's just a really interesting concept. And how did you guys come up with the? We didn't. I know we talked offline, but we didn't talk about it online here yet. Did the concept of the home and away grade, which I love, and you have to be very aware of.
This is as James explained it to me, it was a leftover from True to Life Baseball. So it's a part of a much more detailed baseball simulation, but it's one of the pieces that he kept because he found, I think, 2 or 3 things. One is that they're even among pitchers who are outstanding, and even within a given season in which they were outstanding, you can see some very, very noticeable differences in their performances between home and road. The one that's sticking out to me right now as I'm saying this is in 1968, Mickey Lolich was a monster at home. He was not, and of course he won 3 games in the World Series. And I want to say at least one of them was in St. Louis, but
he won game 7. Yeah.
But he is not a monster on the road during the regular season in 1968, and his card reflects that. So even though Lolich was a stud in 68 and one of the best pitchers in baseball, he had flaws. He had some weaknesses. Jim Lonborg in 1967, same way. And so what James is trying to do, just like with platoon splits for hitters, is to shed some light on the concept that for pitchers, and of course we know that their psyche and everything else goes into it, as well as mechanics and mound familiarity and dimensions of the ballpark and what they throw and all that good stuff. But there's something about this split, about being home and road, that affects pitcher performance. And this is something that Pine Tar brings out, I think, better than really any other game.
You have to be aware of that. You have to.
Yes.
And I'm not an expert at the rules. I still mess them. I'm getting better each time I play. But it's a really fun concept. Tribes fan, because we were talking about, he was saying, like someone do the worst team and how it went. That would be fine. But my point with this new set is to use for people who purchase this, play a knockout tournament, and just to give you the results, whether it's a double elimination or one and done, because it'd be interesting to see, is it the similar teams, the same teams that are always there at the end? Now, these are all good teams. There's not a bad team in the lot. And also, Randy, just a little Action PC baseball update. If you are purchasing anything with Action PC, go to the freebie site. Always go to the freebie site and tack on anything that's free that you might want. And the Mets, I'm actually going to do a David and Goliath. I had the teams already, but anything free, I always tack on. I want it again. Give it to me. So you can get the 27 Yankees and the 62 Mets free and do like a Davy and Goliath thing. I will be doing that, but it's going to be a long stream because I'm going pitch by pitch with the 62 Mets, and there's a reason why. You just don't want to go, throw it up there, And also you can get the 85 Bears and the 76 Buccaneers. I might play that offline. But that's a game you're probably about halfway through the second quarter. You're like, I've had enough of this. Click, because I don't see being competitive at all with that. But anyway, just a little. Always check out if you do have Action PC, the freebie sites, and because he brought it up, and I just want, you can get some cool stuff there. So, but the home and away split is so interesting to me. And again, it's very easy to understand. It's a letter grade, just like when you were in school. It's very easy. Very fun game. Is there one thing that... Oh, we lost Kurt. We're getting Kurt back. Wait for it. Yeah, Kurt's back. We lost you for a second, Kurt.
Yeah.
Is there one thing that you guys are I don't want to say improve because the game is fun. Is there one thing? Okay, the stealing thing. How did you come up this? Because I don't really go by your stealing. Not that I steal a lot, but like the one per series thing. How did you guys come up? And again, it's statistical. I bet if we looked it up, right? I'm not even. I guarantee you, you're actually dead accurate. I'm just for what I do, because I don't play a season. I sort of let them steal at least once a game, But if they're able to.
Right. Well, and that's, certainly that's something that you can do. The chart sort of identifies on both sides which boxes are mandatory and which ones are sort of optional.
And I just want to interrupt because, again, it's three. On the back of the rule book, there's a rare play chart. So there's 3. It's very easy. So the first chart, as I have my little notes written on it, so I don't have to go to, you have and it's a stealing opportunity. I can't see. So again, if you're a double-A stealer, anytime once per 9 innings, once more an extra. So like here's my question, like a Ricky Henderson type, he could steal multiple. You know what I'm saying? No game is not that you have like a Lou Brock or a Ricky Henderson. And again, you can mod the game a little bit or whatever you want to do once you buy it. But
right, and remember that he's got seasons from the 19th century on the website, as well as 1915 and 1960 and 1973 and 82. And so you're talking about different offensive styles going on there all at the same time. But I know that with base running, generally what he's trying to do is to get folks to not
overuse it, abuse it.
Right. So that, because the thing that I know that is the most important, James, is runs scored and runs allowed. And so and he's gotten his numbers, of course, off of Baseball Reference.
Yeah,
so
they're statistically right. It's backed by statistics. Yeah.
Right. So if you do that too much, what happens is you start to
throw off the formula.
You start to affect what and leave, the design of the game open to question. I think he's trying to avoid that a little bit. So
yeah, no, it's still. It was a question.
It's a great question, though, because I mean, the idea of arms has been brought up a lot in terms of being able to be used and implemented in the game to throw out base runners more often, and certainly the frequency with which people are allowed to steal bases.
I think it works well. I'm just was curious because I've tweaked it slightly. I just like instead of once per series, I go once per game. Just because that's the way I'm not playing a full season,
Right.
So I'm doing once per game, but I love where it goes. This guy doesn't steal until the 6th if he's able to, and an end just means you run with poop in your pants. You're not going anywhere. You stay put. The other,
Right, exactly.
The other question, just because I want to know the rule. So if Tom Zachary is a 7-inning pitcher, now he could possibly go. Now, what I've been doing with the World Series is I look to see how many innings they actually pitched, and I say that's what he can go, and one more inning if necessary, or if he's pitching good. So my question being, because I still don't, even though I read it over and over again, and just call me stupid, he's a 7-inning pitcher. How does he make 9 innings? You've explained this. I just don't really.
That's okay. So what happens is if he's allowed 2 runs or less in his 7 innings of work, then he can go another inning for free.
Yep.
And then if for his second extra inning beyond his maximum innings pitched, he can keep pitching in that inning as long as he doesn't allow a man on base.
Okay.
So as soon as he allows a hit or walk or a hit by pitch, I guess.
You should, by rules, you should take him out.
Go to the pen. That's
yep.
right. And so, yeah. But I mean, having said all of that, one of the reasons I was excited to card the 74 A's for this set is because of Herb Washington. And so when
pinch runner,
yeah,
right.
And
that's all he did.
That's him. That's all he did. And so he's going to have just a lot of dashes on his card. James even had me take off which way he bats and throws.
I don't think did he ever have an at bat?
No,
I think he was. I have his. Oh my God, I have to find it. I have his 74 card. It literally says pinch runner. I have it somewhere either there or down cellar.
Yeah, and so he's going to be a real interesting piece for folks to decide if they're going to use him, and if they do,
that's fun because that comes in handy. Well, we can still use Pat. I was going to say Pat Zachary because I do the 77 Matt's all. Sure. We can still use Tom Zachary because he has a run rating, and M means moderate. Average,
right? Right.
But an F is fast, and an S is slow. But it does. I actually did win a game. I think it was game. Was it game 1? I put a pinch runner in, or was it a different? Was it one of the games I did play online? I switched because I'm like, I want a fast runner because I want that even roll, and I want him to go 2 bases. My other question now, because it's popped in my head, when can I have the guy take an extra base and throw him out at home? Is it any time a guy's going for home from second, I can attempt to throw him out?
Exactly. Or trying to score from first on a double.
On a double. So so here's my question. Guys on second, I roll the dice. It's a single. But it's the indicator that says is even. That means a moderate runner, a fast runner, and a moderate runner go 2 bases, I believe. I have to look at the chart real quick because I don't want to mess this up. Moderate and fast go 2 bases. I can still attempt to throw them out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's where I was having a little, because I'm going to do that a little more. And again, this is, at first I was confused by because you have an arm rating for the outfielder. You have A for average, W for weak, and E for excellent. Again, very easy to understand. And I'm like, wow, that's all they get. But you know what? It works out. It really does. So because you roll, and this is the other one that I always end up flipping to the wrong side. That's a fly-out tag-up table. Advance, which is the same. Because there's 2 different concepts here. And while I'll get to the fly-out tag-up table, and again, always when I'm looking for this chart. Now, again, you have to understand, there's not a lot of charts. It's one freaking page, front and back. And here it is up top. Oh, God. I never find it. And it's right there. If you want to hide something in front of Al Red Sox fan, just put it right in front of his effing face because he ain't finding it. You put it somewhere sneaky, I'll find it. So the outfield chance to throw out a runner, a weak arm, 0 through 5. That makes sense, right?
Right.
An average arm, 0 through 10. An excellent arm, 0 through 20. So you can see the difference. It's just a different, when you're used to playing certain games and you're sitting there going, oh, that doesn't make sense. And then you start playing, you're like, I guess my point with this is to show people that you can have different baseball games, but yet still good results, because it's a really interesting concept. Because at first I remember, I think I even told you, I was like, I'm going to mod this a bit because I'm not quite sure how, and then when you play it, you're like, oh, okay, I see how this works. So,
right. And I think that and I really like,
and I actually thrown some people out, which I was amazed. I was like, wow, dude's out.
yeah, but we got to talk about that base running. I mean, your rolls are
Awful.
unbelievable.
Whether it's a 20-sided die. Remember I had the sacrifice bunt? I'm like, I'm going to play small ball here. I had to roll an 80, whatever it was. It was horrible. And then or the advance. No, I'm sorry. It was an advancing. You're right. Bad. Philip makes fun of me in the chat when it happens.
Well, it's important not to let it affect your self-esteem. But
it does.
Yeah. But the fly out, the tag ups, I like too.
Yep.
Because it builds in. You can get thrown out, but it builds in the concept of guys just not even attempting it. You want them to go.
You explained that. I sent you an email because I said, I don't think I'm doing this right. And again, it's explained well in the directions. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I wasn't understanding, and my fault, because the directions are excellent.
Every game has stuff, and you just got to pick it up along the way.
Yeah, because like if a runner is out on 77, 88, and 99 for a tag up. So we'll say a runner's at third, left field, he scores 0 through 70, correct?
Correct.
Now, if you roll a 71, he holds.
Exactly. Even if you want him to go,
he can't go.
He can't go.
If the only way he's out is 77, 88, and 9 for any of these. Other than that, he holds. So it's a really fun concept. The other thing, again, I know I've said it before, this is your chart. 1, 2, okay? And it's nice color. And then there's a third chart. Because I really didn't do an unboxing. And I should have, but then I just started playing and I wasn't going to put it back in the box. I'm like, yeah, I ain't putting this back in the box. So, look what I got. I already opened it. I've been playing it offline. So this is your rare plays chart. Now, my question with the rare plays is, once you roll a 44, is that it for the game or is that it for the batter?
That's it for the game according to the rules, but I house rule that one.
And how do you play that with your house rule?
I do a 44 for each team. So if
maximum of 2 a game you could have.
Right.
Cool.
I just like them. I think it's a cool chart. And I have a thing for insects, and so I like to see those on the field as much as possible.
Jabba
And so-
Chamberlain. Jabba Chamberlain.
Exactly.
Remember that playoff
And
game?
so, yeah, that's right.
Cleveland.
Very
God
upsetting.
said, "Let there be locusts," and locusts there were on the mound.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of people. But so I cut it off at one per team. But that's one of the few things that I think.
So you have even modded a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that that I like to play with too for the infield in. The infield in rule is under the optional section of the.
That's why I think I was talking about that in my last game because I was looking on the chart, I didn't see an infield, and I said, I bet you it's in the rule because I knew I saw it somewhere, but I said I'm not going through, because I'm streaming.
Yeah, it's close to the back, and
what I know exactly. As soon as you said that, now it's right here because I knew I saw it somewhere.
Cut down the bunt success rate, and so I subtract 10 from bunts if
you're playing in to defend against the bunt.
Right.
Yeah, it's well explained. So, did you?
It's not very much. But
do you think you'll ever put it on this chart?
Well, I know that
the only reason why I asked because like when I'm playing, I'm looking at the chart, and then I knew it because I knew I saw an infield in somewhere. And again, because I don't know the rules in and out, I don't. Right. If I play offline, I stop. I go through it. But when I'm streaming, I try to keep things flowing. But that's good to know. I'm probably just going to tag it. I'll make a copy at work. That's what I'll do, and just third thingy. That's all.
Yeah, it's I'll ask James about that. See what he thinks. That's a good idea. It's a good idea. There is some white space, and so. If he plays with that a little bit, he can get that in.
So a few more, and then we'll wrap it up. And let's see, what do we have here?
Oh, I should say too that for the franchise all-star teams, the player's best season was not the one that we put on the cards.
It is their third. I was reading the thing. It's they're like their third or fourth. It's not an average. It's just like a third best season or something like it,
for the expansion teams. And if you're forever team like the Indians or the Tigers or something, then it's your fourth. So what you'll find is that the 30 teams should be pretty competitive. It's going to be interesting to see who rises to the top of those as well.
Yep.
But it's not. Don't get them and think, oh, I'm going to get the season for Ruth where he hit 60. No, you're not.
It's not the 27. It's
right.
So, which makes it fun. They all still have great seasons. It's still that is a fun set. I think it's the teams picked from what I've seen so far. They're well done, and there's no doppelgangers. I like that. That's the one thing with Action PC when you got their version of the computer all-star set. They got 3 players on the same team from different years. I'm like, what you have to do is you have to just make 2 of them inactive if you want, because you can actually have like Cy Young in the game. I'm like, oh my God, he could pitch and relieve. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah, you previewed that, right? You got a YouTube on there. Yeah, that's it.
And that was a while back, and I was like, you can't. What I do in that situation, just go in and enact. Pick the year you want and make them inactive. And some guys play on different teams. You could doppelganger it if you want. That doesn't bother me so much. It's multiple on the same team, which was wow. But how would you handle, just in general, not your game, not Pine Tar, because you guys don't have doppelgangers, which is good. But let me say that, like, I was doing a Red Sox tournament using a Action PC, and then I realized the team, because I thought some of the teams that were similar were going to get knocked out, and they didn't. So I just stopped playing because I can't. My concept was, say, if it was a 67 Red Sox, right, against a 75 Red Sox, you got Yaz and Petrosel, you got a lot of similar guys. And I was like, well, I'll take Yaz and put him on the 67 team and not let him play on. I mean, that one you could see, but then you get to the set. There's 70. There's a lot of similar player. Yeah, the teams. I was like, you can't say my rule of thumb, and then I just stopped playing it online. Was going to be the best season, the better season, and if he's more important to one season than the other. How would you handle that in any type of situation? How do you choose? Okay, how did you choose Reggie? I guess we'll put it this way to bring it back to Pine Tar. Reggie Jackson, a lot of people think of him as a Yankee, right?
Right.
Even though he won more with the A's.
Right.
So, and he played more with the A's. Was that your final thing, that he played more with the Oakland A's than with the Yankees?
Well, there were 2 or 3 things that James and I talked about. The first one was if we had a couple statistical things that we were looking for. And if what we were looking for was his, in Reggie's case, because the teams that he was on were not expansion teams except for California. We were looking for where was his roughly third, fourth, fifth best season. Where did he play that? Number one. And then number two, in the context of, okay, for whatever team that puts him on, is there a problem if he's there? Or does it create a hole on another franchise team that he was on? And if the answer to those is no, then it was very easy. You just go with his wherever he was for his fourth best year and throw him there.
And another good example, what you guys did, you put Roger Maris on the Yankees, even though he played more probably with the other team. He played a lot with the Yankees, but his best years were at the Yankees. So with all the great Yankee players, they don't miss Reggie. So.
Right, exactly.
And that's the point you guys are making with that, yeah.
And especially because, again, the concept is to make a team. And so even though I guess you'd call him a Yankee icon, but he's also an athletics icon. And so and I think, and Bill James wrote about this really, really well in the 80s. When he was comparing the Yankee teams and the A's teams and the 84 Tigers and talking about which teams were greater and how did the 84 Tigers match up. This was in his 85 book. And he was talking about how Reggie was really a more well-rounded player as
in
an
Oakland.
athletic.
Oh, absolutely. Tremendous defender. He doesn't get credit for his defense.
Exactly.
He played center. He played center field at times in Oakland. In the World Series.
That's right. And so, exactly. And so he was much more of an athlete before he got to New York. And so it wasn't too much of a stretch. There were guys that didn't make their teams that I know for me, I felt kind of awkward not including on their team just because they haven't aged very well in terms of their performance. The guy I'm thinking of right now is Louis Aparicio not making the White Sox. People would say, oh my God, Louis Aparicio. I mean, but if you look at his numbers, he's just not better than a lot of folks that the White Sox had
at
shortstop.
Yeah.
And so even though they've got that sort of iconic status, hard choices have to be made. And
I don't think you go wrong with it. It's a fun set that comes out next week. The All-Star set. Yeah. Right. No doppelgangers. So check that out too. But it's just released today, and Kurt will have the final word. He's going to tell you all about it. And then we're going to say thank you to everyone who joined us. We had a fun time. We had a good crowd in the chat. I try to pop up. Normally I go and read from the chat. We did a little bit of it, but it was just more to have a discussion with Kurt. And we thank everyone in the chat. And please check out all the wonderful content creators in the chat. And just releasing today, and I did purchase it because I enjoy Pine Tar. I've tried many a baseball game. I play a lot of them. This is a fun game, in my opinion. The great team set of 16 teams, player color sheet printed, and we went through those teams. And I think everyone will enjoy them. We put the link is on the page. If you can't scroll up far enough in the chat, if you're watching on demand or whatever after the live stream. On the page below is the link to go to Pine Tar Baseball if you'd like to check it out. And it's something. There's plenty of videos. You can go. You can see James' channel. Quick. That's what I want. James plays with just the red and white dye.
Yes.
He likes just play, and you can do that.
Yes.
But I'm just saying you can do that. I did it the first time because I didn't know what the hell the green dye was for. But what are your thoughts on that?
In fact, so.
You like it with the green dye though.
I need all four. I do.
I use all, even when I didn't know what it was, I was still rolling it because they're pretty, and I like pretty.
It's different. It is, yeah.
Yeah. So, greatest team set, first of hopefully many to come.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy Pine Tar year for sure. Calendar year, no question.
It's a fun game. I'm just going to read them off real quick. We'll give you the final word, and then we'll say bye. So the greatest team set that just came out tonight, you have the 1985 St. Louis Cardinals, the 1984 Chicago Cubs, the 1974 Oakland Athletics, the 1965 Los Angeles Dodgers, the Montreal Expos from 1979, which went down the stretch that year for the title. I think they were in it to the last week. Possibly the last couple of days. The 86 Mets powerhouse team. The Baltimore Orioles of 1970. The 1964 Phillies, which came down to the last few days in a 3-4 team race. The Pittsburgh Pirates, who won the World Series in 1971. The Cincinnati Reds, Big Red Machine, 1975. The Impossible Dream Team, 1967, Boston Red Sox. Kansas City Royals, 1980. George Brett flirts with 400. Detroit, 1968, the year of the pitcher. Denny McClain, not one of my favorite human beings, won 30 games. And Mickey Lolich won 3 in the World Series. But beware the home and away splits. The grades. Minnesota Twins, 1987. The Chicago White Sox, 1983. And the 1976 pennant-winning New York Yankees, who won the pennant Game 5 in the Bronx. Chris Chambliss, walk-off homer, old school, fans storm the field. So that is going to be an awesome set. Can't wait to play. Baseball demos have to play with 4 dice. That's what Tabby says. We love Tabby. So anyway, Kurt, the final word is yours. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching TTLBaseballGame.com. And thanks, Al, for having me.
Anytime.
A lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Remember, check out Pine Tar Baseball. To me, it's a reasonable price point. It's a fun game. I like it. I thank James and Kurt for making the game. It's a game I never thought I would play, and you watch it enough, you play. It's a fun change. I like what you guys are doing with the Great Teams League. I love the Legends. It's fun. And there's seasons out there too if someone wants a season. For someone like me, it's just perfect. It's the what if factors, and I live for what if. Because I can read Baseball Reference. I know what really happened. I want to know what if. And that's who said it? It was Appa Brian said it in one of his games. When you sit down, whatever game you play, and tonight we're talking about Pine Tar Baseball, whatever game you play, it is and I'm robbing this from Appa Brian, your field of dreams. Mm-hmm. The legends come to life on your field. It was so well said. Kurt, thank you very much. Thank you to the chat. Health and happiness, everyone. God bless. Till next time. You know what's coming, folks. You know what's coming. Peace. Love you all.